movie opens in Missouri, where we meet 12-year-old Brad Cohen, a bright and energetic boy who is constantly at odds with the world around him. Brad lives with his divorced mother, Ellen, and his younger brother, Jeff. Life is already complicated by the absence of a father figure at home, but for Brad, there's another battle he fights every day, one that's both invisible and misunderstood. Brad's struggle is with a condition that he doesn't yet understand himself. He makes noises and involuntary movements that he can't control. These tics are confusing and frustrating, not only for Brad, but for everyone around him. At school, his teachers see his tics as deliberate disruptions. They are exasperated by his seemingly uncontrollable behavior, believing it to be a form of rebellion or attention-seeking. This lack of understanding often lands Brad in trouble, not just with his teachers, but also with his classmates, who find his actions strange and annoying. One particularly harrowing day, Brad's life takes a traumatic turn in his classroom. His tics have become more pronounced, and his teacher, at her wit's end, decides to make an example of him in front of the entire class. She calls Brad to the front of the room and demands that he apologize to his classmates for disrupting the lesson. Brad, who is bewildered and deeply hurt, stands before his peers, feeling a mix of shame and anger. The teacher then insists that he promise not to disrupt the class again. It's an impossible request. Brad doesn't understand why he behaves the way he does, let alone how to stop it. This public humiliation is a crushing blow to Brad's already fragile self-esteem. It's a moment that lingers in his mind, feeding his sense of alienation and difference. But it's also a catalyst for change. Brad's mother, Ellen, has watched her son suffer long enough. She knows deep down that there must be something more to Brad's behavior than just unruliness or defiance. She's determined to find out what's really going on with her son. Ellen embarks on a quest to uncover the truth about Brad's condition. She starts by taking him to see various doctors and specialists, hoping that someone will finally have the answers she seeks. But each visit only leads to more frustration. One psychiatrist even suggests that Brad's tics might be a psychological response to the trauma of his parents' divorce. While Ellen doesn't dismiss the impact that the divorce might have had on her sons, she feels instinctively that there's something more to Brad's struggles. Determined to leave no stone unturned, Ellen takes her search to the local library, where she begins poring over medical books and articles. She refuses to accept that her son's future is destined to be filled with misunderstanding and punishment. Finally, after countless hours of reading, Ellen stumbles upon a description of a neurological disorder that seems to match Brad's symptoms perfectly: Tourette syndrome. Armed with this new knowledge, Ellen returns to the psychiatrist and presents her findings. The psychiatrist agrees with Ellen's diagnosis, acknowledging that Tourette syndrome is indeed the likely cause of Brad's tics. Ellen is both relieved and dismayed by what she finds. On one hand, she now has a name for what Brad is experiencing. On the other hand, the prognosis isn't encouraging. There is no cure for Tourette syndrome, and treatment options are limited. Ellen, ever the supportive mother, enrolls herself and Brad in a local support group for people with Tourette syndrome. The group is filled with individuals of various ages, all struggling with the same condition. For Ellen, the group is a place of solace and solidarity, a community where she can share her experiences and learn from others. But for Brad, the experience is deeply unsettling. As Brad observes the other members of the group, he sees people whose lives have been severely impacted by Tourette syndrome. Some of them have given up on their dreams, beaten down by the constant challenges of living with a misunderstood condition. Brad, however, refuses to accept this as his future. He's determined that his life will be different, that he won't let Tourette syndrome define him or limit his potential. This resolve becomes a driving force in Brad's life, pushing him to aspire for more, despite the obstacles that lie ahead. As Brad transitions into middle school, his tics continue to make him a target for misunderstanding and discipline. His teachers still view his behavior as disruptive, and Brad frequently finds himself sent to the principal's office. However, an unexpected turn of events changes Brad's outlook on his condition. One day, after yet another incident in class, the principal calls Brad into his office. But instead of scolding him or handing out a punishment, the principal does something that takes Brad by surprise. He invites Brad to attend the school concert later that day. Confused but intrigued, Brad agrees to go. During the concert, Brad's tics become increasingly noticeable, drawing the attention of the audience and the performers. But rather than ignoring the situation or reprimanding Brad, the principal takes the opportunity to educate the entire school. At the end of the concert, he calls Brad up to the stage and asks him to talk about his condition. Brad, nervous but determined, explains to his classmates and teachers what Tourette syndrome is, why he makes the noises and movements he does, and how it's something he can't control. As Brad speaks, a wave of understanding washes over the audience. They see him not as a troublemaker or an oddity, but as a brave young boy who is doing his best to live with a challenging condition. When Brad finishes speaking, the school erupts in applause. It's a moment of acceptance and validation that Brad has never experienced before. This experience is transformative for Brad. For the first time, he feels that his condition doesn't have to be a barrier to his dreams. The principal's understanding and support inspire Brad to pursue a career where he can make a difference in the lives of others, just as the principal has done for him. From that moment on, Brad sets his sights on becoming a teacher. As Brad grows older, his determination to become a teacher never wavers. After graduating from college, he moves to Georgia, where he lives with his supportive roommate, Ron. Brad is eager to start his teaching career, but he quickly discovers that the path ahead is riddled with challenges. Brad's Tourette syndrome remains a significant barrier in his job search. He applies to numerous elementary schools, attending interview after interview. Each time, he's hopeful that his passion for teaching and his qualifications will outweigh any concerns about his condition. But time and again, Brad is met with rejection. School administrators can't seem to look past his tics, fearing that his condition will disrupt the classroom and make him an ineffective teacher. Despite facing rejection 24 times, Brad refuses to give up. His determination is unwavering, fueled by the promise he made to himself years ago to never let Tourette syndrome define him or limit his potential. Finally, after countless disappointments, Brad gets an interview at a school where the staff is more open-minded. During the interview, Brad addresses his condition head-on, explaining how he manages his tics and how his experiences have shaped his desire to become a compassionate and understanding teacher. The school staff is impressed by Brad's honesty and determination. They see his potential, not just as a teacher, but as someone who can inspire and connect with students on a deeper level. For the first time, Brad is offered a teaching position. It's a moment of triumph, but also the beginning of a new set of challenges. On his first day in the classroom, Brad knows that he needs to address his condition with his students right away. He's aware that his tics could be distracting or confusing for the children, so he decides to explain Tourette syndrome to them in a way they can understand. He tells them about the noises and movements he makes, why they happen, and assures them that it's not something to be scared of or to make fun of. Brad's openness immediately sets a positive tone in the classroom. The students are curious but accepting, and they quickly adapt to their teacher's unique style. Brad's willingness to be vulnerable with his students creates an environment of trust and respect, where the children feel comfortable asking questions and sharing their own challenges. One student in particular stands out to Brad, Thomas, a boy with ADHD who struggles with reading. Thomas often feels overwhelmed and discouraged, much like Brad did when he was a child. Recognizing a kindred spirit, Brad takes Thomas under his wing, offering him extra help and encouragement. Through Brad's patient guidance, Thomas begins to make progress, not just in reading, but in his overall confidence and self-esteem. Another student who touches Brad's heart is Heather, a young girl with terminal cancer. Despite her illness, Heather has a bright spirit and a positive outlook on life. Brad is deeply moved by her courage and determination to keep learning, even as she battles a life-threatening disease. He makes a special effort to include her in all classroom activities, ensuring that she feels like a valued member of the class. However, not everyone is as accepting of Brad's condition. One day, the father of a student comes to the school, demanding that his daughter be removed from Brad's class. The father is concerned that Brad's tics will be too distracting for his daughter, and that her education will suffer as a result. Brad is deeply hurt by the father's decision, but he understands the man's concerns. When the little girl tries to sneak back into Brad's class later, Brad is both touched and conflicted. He appreciates her desire to stay in his class, but he knows that he must respect her father's wishes. Brad gently explains to the girl that her father is doing what he thinks is best for her, even if it's not what she wants. It's a difficult moment, but one that highlights Brad's empathy and understanding. While Brad is finding success in his professional life, he also longs for a deeper connection on a personal level. His condition has always made him self-conscious, particularly when it comes to dating, but Brad isn't one to shy away from challenges. He decides to take a chance and signs up for an online dating site, hoping to find someone who will see beyond his Tourette syndrome and appreciate him for who he is. It's through this online platform that Brad meets Nancy Keene, a kind and understanding woman who is intrigued by Brad's honesty and resilience. The two quickly hit it off, and their relationship blossoms into something special. Brad is overjoyed to have found someone who accepts him completely, tics and all. As their relationship deepens, Brad invites Nancy to join him for Thanksgiving at his mother's house. It's a significant step for Brad, as it marks the first time he's introduced a girlfriend to his family. During the holiday gathering, Brad confesses to Nancy that he loves her. To his relief and happiness, Nancy reciprocates his feelings. Despite his growing love for Nancy, Brad can't help but worry that his condition will eventually become too much for her to handle. He confides in his mother Ellen, expressing his fear that Nancy might get fed up with his tics and leave him. Ellen, ever the supportive mother, reassures Brad that he shouldn't let his Tourette syndrome stand in the way of his happiness. She reminds him that Nancy loves him for who he is, and that's all that matters. As Brad settles into his role as a teacher, his dedication and passion for his students do not go unnoticed. His colleagues and the school administration are impressed by his ability to connect with students and create a positive learning environment, despite the challenges posed by his condition. One day, an observer from the school district visits Brad's classroom to assess his teaching. Brad is nervous, knowing that his tics might be distracting or off-putting to the observer, but he stays true to his teaching style, focusing on his students and doing his best to engage them in the lesson. After the observation, Brad anxiously awaits the results. He knows that his teaching career could be on the line, depending on the observer's report. To his relief and joy, the head teacher announces that Brad has not only passed the observation with flying colors, but has also been chosen to receive the prestigious Teacher of the Year award. The award ceremony is a poignant and emotional moment for Brad. As he stands on stage, accepting the award in front of his family, friends, and students, he reflects on the long and difficult journey that brought him to this point. From the painful days of being misunderstood and punished for his tics, to the relentless pursuit of his dream to become a teacher, Brad has overcome incredible odds to achieve his goals. The ceremony is a celebration of not just Brad's accomplishments, but also of the support system that has been there for him every step of the way. His mother, who never gave up on finding the answers, his students, who accepted and loved him for who he was, and Nancy, who became his partner and confidant. The movie concludes with a heartwarming look at Brad Cohen's life after the events depicted in the film. The ending titles reveal that Brad went on to earn his master's degree, a testament to his commitment to education and personal growth. He also found a unique way to combine his love for teaching with his passion for baseball by dressing up as Homer, the Atlanta Braves mascot, bringing joy to fans and students alike. In 2006, Brad married Nancy, the woman who stood by his side and loved him unconditionally. Their marriage is a symbol of the acceptance and understanding that Brad has always sought, both from others and within himself. The film closes with a photograph of the real Brad Cohen standing in front of his classroom, surrounded by his students. And that is it for this movie called Front of the Class. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and I shall see you in the next video. Until then, this is your host for Movie Recap, signing off.